I can unless you want.
No, I'm just making sure because
Yeah. Good evening, and welcome to the Board of Selectmen's meeting on January 22nd, 2024. We'll call the meeting to order at 6:03. Just bear with us 1 second. Just bear with us 1 second.
there we
All right,
go.
that should go. Okay, just want to make one note. We have Tammy Bergeron remote tonight. So just a couple questions, Tammy. Why is it not reasonable, practical for you to attend in person tonight?
I'm out of the state.
There's no voice for Tammy.
Now Tammy's muted.
How am I muted?
There
We
goes
we can
Tammy.
open up a window. I can yell out, see if you'll hear me.
Like you lost her.
And she got bumped.
Oh, did we lose her? Oh, she's trying to join too. Do you know how to get her on?
You need Frank.
Thank you, Frank.
Yeah. I think you gotta let her back in too.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can. Can you hear us now?
Yeah, I told Troy to do something.
No, it was on our end.
Oh,
Yep, as I was saying before, we have Tammy Bergeron joining remotely tonight. So just two quick questions, Tammy. Why is it not reasonable or practical for you to attend in person tonight? And is there anyone else present at the location?
no.
Okay. And what I would like to make a motion to allow Selectwoman Bergeron to participate remotely in tonight's meeting, 1/22/24, since she is away on vacation.
Motion made.
Second.
Mr. Coy,
Yes.
Mr. DeRoche,
Yes.
Mr. Britton,
Yes.
Mr. Gifford.
Yes.
You still have to do a roll call, Beth?
Yeah, you want to roll call to open
That
the
was
meeting
it?
now? Mr. Coy,
Yes.
Mr. DeRoche,
Here.
Mr. Britton,
Here.
Mr. Gifford,
Present.
Ms. Bergeron,
Here.
and note for the record, we have Town Manager Mr. Colby here.
All right, if you can all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, is there anyone here for non-public? We're going to add one agenda item tonight. We're going to ask our town moderator, Bob Hobb, to come out and speak to us. We can see as tomorrow's an important day around town.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and members of the Select Board and the public. I'm Bob Harb. I'm your town moderator, and it's my honor to be that. I want to thank, before I forget, the Plasto Fish and Game for allowing us to host the presidential primary tomorrow. The hours that we're open are 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Little different than our town elections. It's 7 to 8. We will be open to 8. If you're in line or driving into the parking lot at 8 o'clock, you'll still have an opportunity to vote. But 8 o'clock will formally close the polls for those who are not in line at that time. Handicap parking will be on the front right of the building. I believe we have about 6 handicap spaces. And entrance will be similar to what we've done in the past. You will enter on the ramp on the right-hand side, go up the ramp, enter the building from the rear entrance. When you enter, if you happen not to have your identification, the town clerk will greet you and take care of making sure you're registered properly to be able to vote without an ID. But we do strongly recommend you bring your ID with you. We are going to have 3 ballot check-in places. On the far left, we'll be starting with A. On the far right, we'll end with Z. So we're dividing the alphabet up in 3, so there will be 3 lines. We're going to try to have the select board and maybe the police officer present to help direct you. But the lines and the signs are pretty big. You look for your letter and you get in that line. So if you're in Z, please don't stand in the A line because you'll get upset when you get to the front. And then we're going to move you into the main room where you're going to vote. You're going to exit as before on the left-hand side. You go in, you vote, turn left. The voting machines will be there to place your ballot in. And then you're going to exit on the left, like you did the last time. Now, this is a presidential primary. For 1/3 of our voters who are undeclared, they're going to declare a party, at least for this election. The ballot clerks will hand you a card on check-in. If you decide you wish to go back to undeclared, you're going to complete the card and drop it off on your way out. I am told we're supposed to have a blue box and a red box. So if you have a red card to go back to undeclared, please place it in the red box. If you have a blue card, just place it in the blue box. We have special people that will correct the checklist and put you back to undeclared. There is only one vote at this election for a presidential candidate. So at least you shouldn't get confused, and please don't overvote. You get one vote. You can write in, but you still only get one vote. If you check in for Democrat, you'll get a blue ballot. Republicans, you'll get a red ballot. It's going to be a long day, we think, and probably longer at night because of the writing campaigns. But we have extra people coming to assist us at 8 o'clock, along with the select board and workers, to just help us count the ballots. So we're looking forward to a great day. I have announced previously that the parking lot where you come in is a non-electioneering area. We'd like to make sure the citizens can park and walk into the building without encountering electioneering people. So that area is off limits. We will have our usual corral. It will be to the right of the building near the entrance, but a minimum of 10 feet away. So I think we've covered hours, 7 to 8 p.m. You get your ballot. If you're undeclared and you declare, you'll get a card to go back to undeclared. And you enter the main building, and then you exit going to the left, and then continue to the left down this ramp to go out. And that's where you'll drop off your cards. There'll be the boxes there. I'm here to answer any other questions you might have. We're hoping to have a great turnout, and our people will be busy all day, and we'd rather be busy than sit there. So please come and vote. Live up to your duty, and also enjoy the freedoms in America to vote. So we're hoping to see quite a few people there tomorrow.
Yeah, and I'd like to thank the Fish and Game as well, because that really came in handy last year when you think back to that town election with all the snow. And I know a lot of questions, why did we move it there? And a lot of it was because everything was over where the highway garage is, and they basically would lose that garage for several days. And just imagine they wouldn't have had that garage last year during that snowstorm, so that worked out well.
Yes, we certainly thank them, and I'm praying. I haven't heard any snow in the reports for tomorrow. So I'm told it might be in the 40s. I don't know if that's what you've heard. So the warmer it is, the more people come out.
Right.
So we're hoping to get quite a few people, and we can handle it. We have the staff, and I applaud all of those election workers. They're going to work hard all day, and you should thank them for that.
Yep,
I appreciate the help of the select board to all be there, except perhaps Selectmen might be in Florida, might not be able to come, but
Well, hopefully she doesn't
she's
get
there in
a,
spirit, I know.
hopefully she doesn't get a sunburn.
Yeah, and I know she probably filed her absentee ballot for sure.
So there will be some larger signage that will be outside with arrows pointing in directions to vote. So anybody that shows up will have a much easier concept of where they're entering the building.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good day. And if anybody has any questions, you can always contact the town or myself, and we'll be there early in the morning to make sure you have a wonderful time coming to vote.
And how early do you want the early shift to be there?
The early
tomorrow?
shift should come in at 6:30, so we'll be prepared to start a little before 7, so that I need to swear in all the ballot clerks and my assistant moderator, Norm, and then have the machines checked. So if the voters don't know, we always have a voter come in and make sure the machines are empty and there's no ballots stuck in the machine, and the election tape reads 0 and the ballot count reads 0 on all 3 machines. So that takes a little bit of time. We'll be doing that at about 5 to 7, but we'll start at 7 with the Pledge of Allegiance.
All right, perfect. Any questions? I think we're good.
Great. Thank you very much. I look forward to seeing all of you tomorrow. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Bob.
Thank you, Bob, for all you do.
We'll see you bright and early. All right, now we'll get on to our agenda. We have a public hearing to consider a grant, and if we can get Fire Chief to come on up. This is actually a nice one.
Afternoon. Hi, Tammy. I hope it's warmer where you are. That's,
If you just want to,
any place would probably be a little warmer.
just give us a quick little background, what the grant is, and it's actually an exciting grant to get.
It is a very exciting grant. So this is through the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services. It's the Clean Diesel Mitigation Program grant, where the state has received funds through the Volkswagen Mitigation Trust. And within this grant, it allotted a certain year range of older diesel vehicles to be replaced with a new cleaner burning diesel vehicle or electric vehicle. We submitted a proposal to replace our older fire engine with a new fire engine. It was a pretty competitive grant process. We were notified about a month ago that we were moving on into the process. This grant, the project total is $1,187,477. The grant is going to cover $949,982 of that. So the town match would be $237,495. That's a pretty good deal on a brand new fire engine today.
It is.
So moving along with the paperwork, the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services needs documentation that we've held a public hearing and that the Board of Selectmen has accepted this grant, and that you're going to appoint somebody, the town manager, probably as the person to sign for it as we move forward with the paperwork and to develop what they call a certificate of authority. So I guess tonight I'm looking for approval of the grant or acceptance of the grant, and then to appoint the town manager, I'm assuming, as the municipal representative to sign paperwork moving forward.
Yeah. And what I'll do, now that you've said that, I want to open up the public hearing, see if there's any public comment out there. Doesn't look it. So do you have questions up here or anything? I think it's hard to believe you get like almost a $1.2 million truck. It'll be like less than 240,000.
Great thing.
What's the lead time on this vehicle? I'm sure it's not a couple weeks.
No, it's going to be several years before we'll actually see it from the time we order it. So once you approve the paperwork here tonight, it goes back to the state. The state has to do the final approval. They'll give me notification that we can move forward, and then we could order the project, if you will. Now, a lot of that groundwork has been done because I had to have a project to propose.
Right.
So that should move pretty quick, and then I'll pop you back in front of you with an option to go ahead and get a fire truck ordered. And from that date, you're looking at 40 months.
Wow.
Time to
So
build a
it's
fire engine.
Little over 3 years.
Yep.
Now, is there one source or do you look for multiple sources?
So there's multiple sources out there. With this, they wanted us to either have a bid or go through the federal bidding process. So that's like what we bought our ladder truck on. We use that same process. All the manufacturers have those lead times.
Okay.
So you can't go to a different manufacturer and say, well, I'm going to get it in 20 months.
Sure.
They're all very, very long lead times. And this is carryover from the COVID years and the back ordering, and then people that's ordered a lot when they saw prices were starting to increase. So it's just a combination of a lot of different things. You know, maybe sooner or later we'll get back to normal, but right now what used to take an engine, you can normally order an engine and you normally have it in about 9 months, is 40 months. That's the new normal.
Now, who are we leaning towards?
So we'll be purchasing the same manufacturer we're buying our ladder truck from.
Okay.
So it's through Allegiance Fire Rescue, and it'll be Pierce.
Okay.
And it's through the HGAC purchasing program is what was, that's the
Right.
grant or the bid that we used, if you would.
Okay.
So by the time that comes in, the current one will be about 24, 25 years old, somewhere around there.
Right on line with when it should be replaced. So it's impeccable timing.
Wow.
Can you talk a little bit about what happens when we swap it out, the old one and the new one?
So this grant has some very strict guidance directions in it. It is meant to disable a old, dirty, burning diesel vehicle to help make the environment better. So we'll have no choice but to totally disable this vehicle. So that in their eyes, what we have to do with them witnessing it is drill a hole no smaller than I think 4 inches in diameter in the engine block
Oh, jeez.
and cut the frame rails in 2 different places.
We can't give it away or anything?
Oh, you give it away after you do that, but yes, they do not want the engine to run anymore. It's about a cleaner diesel. That's what this grant's for. So
It's too bad because if the vehicle was still anyway decent, there's
Right.
probably smaller, older departments that
that
could use it.
could potentially use it, correct? But
Yeah.
that's the guidance within this grant.
Can we
Wow.
put it somewhere, make it a playground or something?
I think you'd be great in your yard, like right next to the ladder truck with the flower boxes on it.
Perfect.
All right, thank you.
So, all right, so with that, we'll close the public hearing. Get a motion?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to accept the New Hampshire Clean Energy Diesel Program grant in the amount of $949,982. The grant is provided by the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services. Furthermore, I motion to authorize the town manager, Greg Colby, to enter into and sign all documents pertaining to the grant on behalf of the town.
We got a
Second.
Second by Jay. Any further discussion?
Just great job to
Yeah.
you and to the town manager for, going after this. This saves the taxpayers a tremendous amount of money.
It's a big win.
Yep.
Big win.
So thank you.
Mr. Coy,
Yes.
Mr. DeRoche,
Yes.
Mr. Britton,
Yes.
Mr. Gifford,
Yes.
Ms. Bergeron.
Yes.
Yep, and there's one more motion there.
I motion to withdraw $237,495 from the Fire Department Apparatus Capital Reserve Fund. The money will be used with the New Hampshire Clean Energy Diesel Program grant of $949,982 to purchase a fire engine pumper truck that cost a total of $1,187,477.
Second.
Second by Jay. Vote?
Mr. Coy,
Yes.
Mr. DeRoche,
Yes.
Mr. Britton,
Yes.
Mr. Gifford,
Yes.
Ms. Bergeron.
Yes.
I do have one question, though, is what do we have to give in advance?
We won't be doing a prepay on this because this is a reimbursement grant.
Okay.
So the state won't give us the money up front until the old engine is disabled. So we'll take delivery of the new engine, disable the old engine, and then we'll submit a reimbursement claim to the state to give us the money back. So we won't be able to do a prepay on this. So nothing will come due until 40 months from now or when it's delivered.
Okay. Okay.
Make sure you're around for that check.
I hope to live that long, yeah.
All right. Perfect. Thank you.
Well done.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
And next up, we have a presentation with the Energy Committee and Walden Renewables to discuss possibility of solar panels on the landfill.
These are updated packets from what I had originally sent you.
Thank you.
And while Frank's setting that up, if you just want to introduce yourself, so Beth.
Matt Kennedy.
I'm sorry, Nate, what's the last name? Thank you.
I think we've
And that's
done
from
that
Walden
before.
Renewables. And I know Jay and John, you've been involved in this, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So how long have you've been talking about this for quite a while, right? With the possibility of the solar panels out there?
I think solar panels has been discussed for a couple of years, maybe 3 years now on the Energy Committee. So
Oh, perfect.
All right, great. All right. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and pleasure to be here in front of the board. I'm Matt Kennedy. This is my coworker, Nate Colanino. We are representatives of the New England development team at Walden Renewables. Put together this brief slide deck here. We don't need to go super in depth. I mean, I just want to give you a background on who Walden is to start out. We're a company started in 2011 from its base in New England. Some of the larger projects that we've developed over the years have been mostly in New England. We had a project in Massachusetts starting out in 2013. We built the Antrim Wind Project also in Antrim, New Hampshire, which is one of the first projects, large-scale wind projects in the state. This is our team. It's a small, relatively small development team compared to some other renewable energy companies. Our team in New England is, we're missing Nate here. He just started this past fall, but it's really me, Dale, and Nate with some additional help from Jack Kenworthy, our Chief Development Officer. Little background on who we are. Both Dale and I have a long history in environmental consulting prior to renewable energy development, where we were permitting a lot of these projects in Maine when it went through a large development boom in 2019 through 2021. So we've worked in that permitting space, and we've built projects, as a few of you have seen projects out there. So we've been a part of that as these projects have gotten in the ground and constructed. just gonna skip this one. These are some of our partners that we've worked with, whether it's through the permitting process, working with them on power purchase agreements for offtake, or purchasing equipment for the projects. Just to name a few, we have, Flycatcher's one of our consultants. We worked with Microsoft to purchase power from several projects, and the last project we had in Littlefield or in Wells, Maine, all those panels were purchased by Canadians or purchased from Canadian Solar. We are, as I said, we started out as a New England company, but we've expanded into different territories and different regional transmission areas across the state. So we have projects in the PJM region of the country, MISO, and Southeast regional markets. And these are some of the projects we've built over the last 13 years. Littlefield Solar is a really good example for how what we're thinking this in terms of size and the nature of the site is very similar to what we have here in Plastow. So it would be a distributed distribution level project, which means that interconnects to the power lines that run along the street. It's not interconnecting onto those high voltage transmission lines that kind of actually cut across the landfill. So these connect to roadside. It's less than 5 megawatts. It's on an area. This project in Wells was an unregulated landfill back in the 50s and 60s. And it was developed into a housing development. Shocker, there was some water contamination and they had to pull the houses out. And so the town took ownership over that in the 90s, and it was vacant for the last 30 years until the project went online and last summer. No, 2 summers ago. So it went online in July 22. And that project provides energy for 15 different commercial and industrial customers through the state's tariff rate net metering program. This was our first project in Massachusetts. Was the Hubbardston Solar project. This project was the offtake was with UMass, and that project has helped them meet their climate reduction goals. And it funds a scholarship there at UMass. As I mentioned earlier, the Antrim Wind project is a pretty arduous permitting process. This project delivered energy to the New Hampshire Electric Co-op. It was a long process through the site evaluation committee with New Hampshire, but it went through, and it is up and operational today. Another large-scale wind project that we've developed was in Pennsylvania. It was at one time, I think it was the tallest onshore turbine in the United States when it was put in. So there was a lot of different challenges in this area in terms of getting deliveries, bringing in these turbines into the kind of really tight areas where turning radiuses weren't there, and so it was a big logistical challenge. But with our work with our EPC contractors, we were able to get it done without a hitch. And so that kind of brings us to this project or potential project in Plastow. And so, as I mentioned, there's 3-phase power that provides electricity for that industrial park. And so we intend to interconnect onto those 3-phase power lines right at the end of Wilder Drive. The energy produced would be purchased through the Net Energy Billing Program in New Hampshire, which was just last year expanded from 2 megawatts to 5 megawatts. And the lease payments for the actual solar lease on the landfill, that is an old figure. It would total over 1.2 million based on our estimates on the developable area. I recycled this slide deck from our energy committee meeting, and it was prior to us getting a site walk on there. So there was a couple areas we won't be able to work in due to wetlands and the shooting range. But these projects have been deployed on landfills across the nation. They're, as members of the board have seen, we have one up in Wells, not too far away. That's on a former landfill, and they were up and running that day in November actually, when we were out there. So they're humming along. It definitely requires a detailed permitting effort prior to construction. By no means is, would we just be able to just go in and start building this right away? No, it would be a long process through consultation with the different departments of the state government, obviously with the members of the planning board here. So we're fully intending to have to go through that process, but I guess the first step is to make sure that we're on board from the town, that they support this. But I think with our experience in developing these types of projects, a lot of issues we've run into are natural resources and potentially scenic impacts from neighboring properties. And due to where it's located on the landfill and the existing forested tree buffer, I think this project will be pretty well hidden away from residences nearby. And it's in an area that seems pretty, it fits really well for this industrial area of town. And it being a landfill, you really can't develop many other things on it. So it made sense for why we chose it for a site. And so this kind of just is a map that we have tweaked since the last time I had it up here at the Energy Committee meeting. It just goes to show the areas that we are interested in putting panels on, or we think would be compatible for it. And it's pretty much the entire landfill cap with an additional area of this wood line back here, which seems to, I could not find wetlands. There was a bit of snow on the ground, but it appeared to be dry. There is a wetland that kind of comes in back here and it floods out all into the parking area down here. In addition to this auxiliary area to the northeast, we'd be interested in looking at that as well. Obviously, we don't intend to disturb the existing police shooting range in the northern portion of the parcel. And we believe that both uses can coexist on the same parcel.
So everything within that you've got mapped out there, that equals 15 acres?
That's 15 acres, correct. And here's the point of interconnection. The three-phase power line is down here. There's this small section underneath the power lines where we probably just, it may not be right there, but we would need to cross the underneath the power line somewhere to get on the other side with a road. But yeah, that's the area of interest for our project. And so how it works, we would look to sign this up through a lease with the town. Our proposed lease terms include two distinct periods. The first one is the development period, is when we would apply for permits, do all of our surveys, apply for interconnection with Unitil, and actually build the project. If you asked me this 3 years ago, usually you'd take 4 years. Now we're looking at 6 years. That's why we have that built in. We would pay the town We proposed $7,000 per year for the first 4 years.
So you figure this will take 6 years, the development part?
Yep.
What's the return on investment
For who?
for us? In other words, lease payments of $1.2 million. How long before we get all our money back?
They're paying us.
We
We're not
pay that
putting-
to you. So you get,
Okay.
there's the 100% return on investment.
Okay,
Or I guess, you don't pay anything. We pay it all to you. So,
okay.
and we would do there would be no cost to the town
No cost to the town at all?
So
other than time that the town officials would, be coordinating with us on certain issues, whether it was, the highway department, but it would be no monetary payments.
Okay. So you're carrying all upfront costs?
Correct.
yeah, and the project would be owned and operated long-term by Walden. So
How are you getting your financing then?
Yeah, that's a good question. Walden is financially backed by RWE, which is a utility, a large German utility.
Mhm.
So an arm of them, of that company, is their renewables investments arm. And so they are the financial backer of Walden Renewables.
I get it, but there's got to be a cost someplace that's got to be paid back.
We would apply for a construction loan.
So I think basically the way to almost kind of look at it is they're paying the town to lease the land.
Yep.
And once they're up and running, it starts at 30 grand a year.
What's that?
Once it's up and running, it starts at 30 grand a year. And 30 years from now, it closes at 53.
Yeah. So that's the development period. The operations period it's 40 years. It's 30 years with 2 options to extend 5 years.
That's right.
It'd be $2,000 per acre and per year, and a 2% escalator. And so I have this table. It's maybe a little too small and blurry, but it kind of outlines what that looks like. You have a 15-acre project for $2,000.
It's the second page in the handout. Yeah.
Year 1, you're looking at $30,000. By year 30, you're at $53,000 combined for development and operations. At year 30, it's 1.26. So if you added another 10 years, it would be more than that. And these projects, the panels themselves are warranted to 30 years, and we're seeing panels that have survived longer than that today.
Now, and I know nothing about your business at all. Okay, I know the sun comes up, that's it. But I have no solar panels that are 20 years old or 10 years old or obsolete. What happens when these become obsolete in 10 or 20 years?
They stay because the production, the efficiencies don't really come down as much as you may think they would. I mean, panels that are operating after 20 years, 25 years are still operating at about 75% efficiency. So these projects, the way they work financially is it's a huge upfront cost, and you don't really break even until almost halfway through the project cycle. So it wouldn't really make sense to just go in and take out all your, the capital you've invested in the project, the panels themselves, and replace them at that time. You would just see it through. And then if you wanted it in 40 years, if the town wanted to sign another lease with us, maybe we'd consider replacing the panels, but.
And who's responsible for the panels?
We would be.
So if any of them get damaged or anything like that?
Correct. We'd have an insurance claim.
Okay.
Yep.
Very good.
I have a question. Can you tell me what the pros and the cons are for these solar panels? What the basically what the benefits are, and then what the cons are? I just want to weigh them out.
Yeah, sure. So the pros are it's energy that's provided onto the grid without any need for fuel for 40 years. That energy is provided to municipalities in New Hampshire. It's going to require it, and those municipalities will be paying a discounted rate for their energy, which As I'm sure you all are aware, the energy prices in New Hampshire have been all over the place over the last couple of years, mostly due to the Ukraine conflict in the natural gas markets. These solar projects they don't require any fuel, so they're isolated from that instability, the global instability that we see, and how these fuel prices kind of go up and down. That's a huge pro. I mean, obviously, climate change is happening. Our winters are getting a lot more mild. These projects, though small, are a piece of a larger movement towards moving away from fossil fuels, which not only create lots of climate instability, they also are not good for air quality and cause thousands of cases of asthma across the United States. So that's a pro. Another pro is that you're utilizing an otherwise undevelopable area of town and getting $30,000 plus a year for a development that, in other areas of town would take out potentially a place that you may want to build housing, or, be a public park, or have be a conserved parcel. And then in addition to that, I mean, I could go on for a long time here, but
we get it.
I get off my soapbox. The cons, I mean, you got to talk to me. I don't know. Yeah, you tell me what the cons are.
I did hear that you said that, like, it's solar panels that have been around for 40 years. I mean, I can't remember that far that they have been around for that.
Yeah, solar panels were invented by NASA. They put them on the satellites.
Okay.
So all the satellites you see in space, they all have solar panels on them. And they've been operating pretty well for a good amount of time. Jimmy Carter put solar panels on the White House. Reagan took them right down. But yeah, no, they've improved dramatically. I mean, in terms of technology over the last 10 years, it's kind of amazing how, as you mentioned, as the panels become obsolete,
Right.
I think it's just, they don't become obsolete, like they still function, but the ones that they're putting out today are leaps and bounds more efficient than the ones that they did 10 years ago. So a panel in 2010 may have been a 300 watt panel, and now we're producing panels that are 600 watts. So literally doubling the power output for our panel in the same footprint.
And in the future, you're probably going to see that go.
Potentially. They're going to have to get real creative. I don't know how they're going to fit that many cells in the same area, but one cool novel technology I'll share with you is that they're actually developed, and these are bifacial panels at the Littlefield site, and which means both sides of the module actually can absorb sunlight. So if you have snow on the ground, that sunlight is reflected off the snow, and then actually in the back side of the panels, it's still absorbing that energy.
How do you, if you do get, I see like small mounds of snow there, significant snow covering the panel, who'd be responsible for trying to get that off, or do you just let nature do its thing?
Yeah, it's similar to like if you let your car sit for a long time outside in the wintertime, eventually the sun just melts that snow right off. It slides off. It'll take a couple days, but what's that?
Is it not as effective when it's
So if I could just interject for a minute, what we're doing is leasing the land, the maintenance, anything that has to do with the panels. We've seen the site. If one panel breaks, it's an easy clip. These guys can go in and replace the panels. But what our contract will be taking care of is leasing the land to them. All of the maintenance, all of the aggravation that goes along with it is handled by Waldron. And in fact, I've looked through the lease, but haven't read it completely. But if they in turn decide to sell this project to another vendor, this lease would move forward with any transactions. So what we're be signing or what would be moving towards the attorneys today would be something that would be perpetual throughout the whole 30. And then again, if we go to the additional 2 5-year contracts,
Yeah,
that's my understanding. So us knowing all, and I'm not trying to dummy it up in any means, but us having to know all of the minutia on the actual equipment is what we're doing is just leasing a piece of property that we can't build on. And it is in a pretty well secluded area that the abutting land really is, some of it has no entrance to get to. So
yeah, the way
it's almost the perfect storm to say.
I get it, but I still, I'd like to have that being answered, like,
Yeah.
no covering that.
Yeah.
Like, does it still make it efficient, or is it?
No,
less
it-
efficient because there's snow on it?
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. So the snow on top of the panels, they're not going to produce as much energy. I think what you're asking though is like, I guess the models that we put in to predict how much energy we can put out bakes that into the model. You bake in how much snow totals Plastown, New Hampshire averages out per year, what the latitude is, how much sun it gets. That all that is factored in by engineers who are smarter than me. So
Okay, so those are some things I think people like that are listening right now at home would probably wouldn't know, like myself.
Yeah.
wouldn't know that. So that's why I was asking some of these questions.
no, it's a good question. Yep.
Okay.
And they're also, so you can see where the edge of that snow bank is.
Yeah.
These panels are about 36 inches off the ground to allow for the snow to slough off and kind of create that.
And then when they're on a slope too, as it heats up, if the snow slides off it.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Jay.
I have a few different questions. First one, it's a landfill. So how, you're not going to be digging into the ground to put in the supports. Like how is the support system set up for the panels themselves?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't think I have it in here.
Because I know when we visited the other site, it had like above ground anchors.
Correct.
So we're not going to be digging into
Yep.
a
I wish I
landfill.
had some pictures right on this slide deck here, but pretty much we wouldn't be able to penetrate the landfill cap. The landfill cap would need to be maintained. So there'd be there's a few different things you would employ during construction. Number one, probably use tracked vehicles when you're going around the landfill so that you don't rut it up. Or you put down mats for any type of vehicle movement around the cap. Then the other piece here is that you would, the racking for the insulation would be ballasted. It wouldn't be pile driven, which is, normally you either drill, like if it wasn't a landfill, you'd drill into the ground or you'd pile drive to create the racking system. But in this, we would probably put ballasts, and that would either be concrete or the ones you kind of saw at Littlefield, which are these baskets that have rock in them that are a little bit, they're easier to build on site, and they're a little bit cheaper than concrete, and also probably a little lighter too. So the weight on the landfill, but yeah, that's how it would be put in, would be ballasts on top.
Right. So minimal impact to under the cover, so to speak. So it's all going to be on top. The other thing I wanted to ask about is, we have a unique species of animals around in town. We have turtles and snakes, and they cause some issues for us when we try to do projects.
Yeah, the
how,
wood turtles.
How does the solar field impact the wildlife and the floral and fauna and all that around town?
Yeah, I think the biggest impact would be had during construction. And so what would happen is we would consult with Fish and Game, and likely, I was reviewing some of the documents online that were up there when the landfill was recently just, I think they had a project where they were filling in some of the erosion and kind of putting some more dirt on top. And so I was reading the Fish and Game recommended that, you hand out flyers to construction personnel that if they see any of these species that they immediately call Fish and Game. that before construction begins, that you clear the site of all species to make sure that there's none on site, and then you create a barrier around the site and make sure that they can't get in during the construction of the project. So that's, I think, the biggest impact would be during construction. Otherwise, once it's up and operational, I mean, a lot. Sometimes, birds love building nests under panels. Actually, kind of create some habitat, but I don't think it would. There would be any, since it's already an impacted site.
Right.
There during operations be minimal to negligible impact on any wildlife species.
Now at the Littlefield site, I noticed would you guys maintain like the ground covering? I know it was getting a little deep there in a few spots. Like, do you mow? Do you maintain that area as well?
Yeah, I think the way that the permit is for the landfill right now is it's mowed it's twice a year. Or at least that's what I read, and it would be the same for the solar project. In Maine, you aren't allowed to mow more than twice per year. It's for stormwater absorption, so by allowing the grass to grow high, it provides that nice penetrate. I guess it's different on a landfill cap where you have the kind of the clay that pushes the stormwater moves in a very precise path, so to speak. But yeah, they wouldn't be mowed more than twice a year.
So that the town wouldn't be responsible for the mowing like we are now.
Correct.
So that's an expense we wouldn't be paying for anymore.
Correct.
For the life of the lease. Okay. Last question I had is, we're looking at bringing up a community aggregation program in town. It's actually probably going to go live this spring. Does some of that solar actually feed into that program, or can people take advantage of that? And also, on top of the lease payments to the town, is there any way we can benefit by getting some of that electricity to offset our electrical needs?
Yeah, I think that's a different conversation. And I can't, while we are definitely open to having that conversation, I don't think I can commit to say one way or the other at this meeting tonight, whether or not we would be able to commit the energy for this project to a specific off-taker.
Right. Well, I wouldn't say committed, but is there like a percentage that could be used towards, this community aggregation program or the town's municipal needs? So I guess that's maybe a further conversation down the road.
Yeah, it's definitely a conversation I'd love to have, and it's really all depending on how much energy is consumed by the town and how much you would want off of the project. And
well, ideally, I'd like it to cover all of our electrical needs, but
yeah,
get that out of our budget.
You might need more panels.
Yeah.
Or
at least
I think 3
big chunk of
megawatts,
it.
usually a town maybe the size of Plastow, I don't think it would even have the municipal needs at least is usually lower than that.
Right.
But
at least it would be another benefit for us to possibly use. So
Chair?
Yes.
Yep.
Just interject, the folks that are working with us on the community power program, Standard Power, they are aware of our working with Walden. So there is some synergy going on there and some investigation.
Okay, good. So they're already talking a little bit. So
Correct.
good. Perfect.
excellent.
Yeah, these are the last couple of slides I just want to share with you, kind of like what progress so far on this. We met with the Energy Committee in September. In November, we had a site tour of our project in Wells, Maine with members of the Energy Committee and a few members of the Select Board. We filed an interconnection pre-application with Unitil, which you don't need any site control to do that. That just kind of initiates the process. And then in December, we attended the Energy Committee meeting again, just to kind of finalize any last questions. Sent along the lease terms, draft lease, exclusivity agreement. I also met with Dan Garlington, the highway supervisor. Nate and I did in December, and we walked around the site with him and really kind of talked about the history of the landfill and some of the issues he's been dealing with over the years, and his thoughts on the whole thing was really helpful to get his perspective. So thank you, Dee, for putting me in touch with Dan. That was very helpful. And then in January, we met via Zoom with Sanborn Head, who've who've been the town's engineer on this landfill project. And, we were just, bouncing some ideas back and forth together. So that's where we're at today. And I feel good about the potential for this site. And so I guess from where I sit as a next step, as you kind of already outlined, in that lease terms packet that outlines the commercial terms. So once we come to an agreement on that, it would be helpful for us to enter into an exclusivity agreement. And that would allow us to move forward with an interconnection application. And so the exclusivity agreement would outline that the town of Plastow has entered into this agreement so that Walden is the only exclusive party who can develop solar on this parcel.
Yeah, so somebody can't jump your claim.
Correct. We file interconnection, and then we have a while to get through the nitty-gritty process if we need to get, obviously the town attorney will be involved with the lease negotiation. If there are tweaks to it, that could take several months. And there's a bit of urgency on the end of the interconnection because there's only a certain number of megawatts of capacity on that circuit. And once if somebody were to apply on this circuit prior to us, it could potentially kill the project before it gets going.
But you've already pre-applied.
But it doesn't hold your place in line.
Right, but the bandwidth is there currently.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was kind of, yep, exactly.
But until you have site control,
Right.
file the official
Understood.
application, somebody else could speak in front of us.
No, and talk about the circuit you're talking about at that specific location right now.
The circuit actually goes up Wilder Drive, I think, and then it's a circuit. So it goes up that street. I think it goes down that main drag there for a bit, and then it connects to a substation. So that whole network is that one circuit.
Yeah.
John or Jay, I know you've been working on this for a couple of years. Anything else you wanted to add?
I think it's a great opportunity for the town for land that we're not utilizing in a way for the town to utilize it. I don't think it's going to be a huge impact to the environment around the landfill itself. I know we have some, turtles and snakes we got to deal with, but I think that's going to be more the wetland side of that property.
Jay, what was the thought process on the scrap pile and things like that? That would be abandoned at that point?
So we would probably still have the landfill use where people can drive up the road to,
Oh, okay, even with the panels there?
yes,
Okay.
right? That's,
Right, there was an area on the far end by the police
I don't think that would,
range that was still going to be utilized. I think Dan went through that with them as to
Yes.
what land he was still going to keep.
Right here. Yep.
Right,
Yeah,
so
so to
this
the
is,
left.
so this is just all land that nothing's going on there right now.
right.
And there's no intention to do anything.
Right, it was all mounded land.
We would still have access to the landfill. People can drop their leaves off and
So
Yeah,
the
the
only
road-
thing they'll see, they'll notice some panels out there.
Right. As well as the police force there, pistol
Right.
range.
there's
They have
no,
access to that.
there's no chance of a stray bullet being caught by one of the panels or anything.
Not by the way the range is run. I think this is a great opportunity for a piece of land that
Yeah.
we have. I never say that land has no value. Land always has value, obviously. We have value here. But we have an isolated piece of land that aesthetically is reasonably hidden, as well as comfortable enough with the other lands that surround it. Virtually don't have access or don't want any access to that particular area.
Right, it's not something you can build on or anything else. This is
Right.
the only way to kind of recoup a few funds for it.
Right. And I think it's time that we move this over to our attorneys and start the process and get this going.
Dee, Tim, Liz, did you want to add anything?
What Mr. Gifford said.
So I know, we've been doing this I'm sorry, Tammy, go ahead.
Does this have to go to town meeting or anything?
No, it does not.
No.
So
So,
we have almost zero cost into this other than, some paperwork that's been shuffled around. So this is our next additional cost, and that is running this through the preliminary through the attorney and then fine tuning it later on. But if a motion is needed or something, I'd like to get this to our attorney and start this process.
Greg,
If
do you
we
want
get
a
a go
motion
from,
consensus?
No. Well,
Just a consensus? What we think?
it sounds like you guys want to move forward with it, so
Make it so, number one.
I'll get the attorney involved.
Everyone's good?
His name is Spock.
Yeah, no, I think it's a win for that piece of property.
absolutely. And I appreciate you guys and Tim and the Energy Committee getting this off the ground and getting it ready to roll.
Great job.
Thank you.
Perfect, yeah, it's a lot of work. Good to see it come to fruition.
Thank you very much.
All right,
Appreciate
thank
it.
Go
you
you
very
needed?
much.
Yeah.
It's, Greg, that's all you need, right? Just.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you very much.
Nate. Have a good day.
Chief, I just realized you're next up. I should have taken care of you when you were
I
up
was
here
wondering why
before.
we didn't do that.
I was going to say,
Yeah, it didn't even dawn on me. I wasn't thinking.
He's got nothing
I
better
had
to
it
do.
in front of me, and I
you
was
got
going
it
to
out
say.
of your mouth too soon before I could
I
say it.
I apologize for that. You know me, I kind of.
You wanted to know what was going on with the solar fields anyway.
That was very interesting. Yes. Could I plug into it too?
You get a long extension cord.
No, he's got the ladder truck.
All right, so next up, it's, we have a couple vehicles we wanted to look at, kind of dispose of, move along. And the first one, obviously, is the ladder truck.
So yes, our current ladder truck started having some major mechanical issues about the middle of December, right around the Christmas holiday. During just a routine weekly check of it, it started failing with power to the point where we had to get Dan to push it back into the fire station with his front loader. It did have forever, something's happened to it, it has no power. We've since had several mechanics come by and look at it to see what could be wrong with it, what could be causing this problem. And it's gotten worse to the point where I won't even engage or start. So it was going to be quite expensive to have it towed. You're looking at least $1,000 to have it towed to a facility to break into it to see what could be going wrong. The mechanic kind of looked at several different simple options to see if that could be causing it and either ruled them out. It's like, yeah, that's not causing this problem. So it would have to be towed somewhere that is well versed in that type of equipment. They would have to use a special hydraulic machine to be able to engage the ladder on top of it, because you can't raise the cab to get to the diesel motor unless you either unbolt the ladder and have a crane take it off, or hook it up to another hydraulic machine to create the hydraulic pressure that's needed to raise it so you could raise the cab. That was going to be at least another $1,000. So we're going to be several $1,000s into not even knowing what the problem is, just to start doing exploratory surgery on it. Our new ladder truck is slated to be delivered in May. It's still on time. I've just checked with our vendor with this as well. It is my opinion that the taxpayers don't waste another penny on this thing. We have dumped so much money in this old fire truck over the years. I don't want to spend any more money on it.
Well, it sounds like minimum, if you're lucky, it's probably 10,000, but it's probably more than that.
And by the time it gets fixed, that's the other thing. So you get it fixed, and if they can fix it, you're probably looking March before you're getting it back. It's Mike said, my opinion is let's not throw any more good money after something that is terribly bad.
We have the mutual aid to cover in case something happens. Right?
We have already. I did that from day one. From when it went down, I changed some of our response cards for the mutual aid towns to provide a ladder truck if we needed it.
Okay, good.
So,
Is there anything salvageable off of it?
I'm
Is there anything salvageable off of it?
We've taken the loose equipment off of it. We'll repurpose some of the loose equipment, the radios inside. We're going to repurpose air packs, some of
Hose.
the hose, all that has come off.
Okay.
And we'll repurpose everything that still has life left on it.
Okay.
As far as the apparatus itself, there's really nothing on it. And then Tammy, I'm sorry, you had a question? Where'd you go? I think it's going on 32 years old. It's definitely met its life expectancy for a ladder truck.
And have you found it being an issue trying to get a ladder truck if needed one, or has there been any like huge delay in time on that?
So that's the thing. There's a little bit of a delay because it's coming from a neighboring town. But we've changed. Atkinson is bringing they have a little, what's called a quint, which is a 75-foot ladder. They're bringing it now as their first apparatus to our town if we need it. The town of Haverhill will bring a ladder truck if we need it, if it's available. And we also have the town of Salem has a ladder truck that they could bring if we need it, if it's available, if it's not committed to another call.
So fingers crossed until May that you don't have anything major.
Fingers crossed until May, yes.
Yeah, okay.
And so the other thing is the use of this ladder was so limited because of all the problems it had with it to begin with. So we are losing an asset for a little while, but it's not really a huge loss.
Well, looking back, it was actually a good thing that we had that on order.
It is a good thing that we have that honor. And that's why there's standards out there that say that you should look at replacing your apparatus after so many years, because they're going to break. And that's what this thing's been doing. It's been costing thousands and thousands of dollars the last several years of its life just to get it patched back together.
Well, we're getting big money for it anyways.
Yeah, we're getting real big money for it.
So,
so a lot of times fire apparatus is misleading because they're parked inside all the time. They have a very nice climate controlled garage. They're always parked in. We take good care of them. So the paint looks like it's nice, but it's everything underneath it that's wore out.
Tammy, you were only 2 years old when we got this.
Well, didn't we actually purchase that used?
We did purchase it used, and that was probably
10 years old.
10 or 12 years ago. So it already had a life of 20 years with a probably a pretty busy department. Most departments that get rid of ladder trucks is because they're getting very expensive to maintain them.
Yeah, so they keep turning them over.
Yep. So I've reached out to several different heavy truck businesses to see what we might be able to get out of it. It's really salvage at this point. All but one of them said their tow bill would be more than what they would give us for it. We did have a gentleman come from the Scrap Metal Management North out of West Newbury, Massachusetts, and said he'd give us $4,000, and that also included the towing.
Wow.
So
Sign them up.
So, yeah.
Sold American.
It is at that point, right? I mean,
all he's going to do with it, he's not fixing it. He's going to scrap it. He's going to scrap pieces out of it, and he's going to scrap the steel out of it.
yeah, he'll make money off the steel. And
So if we were set up to do that, I'd say let's do that. But we're not set up to do that. We don't have the cranes. We don't have the equipment to cut it apart.
no, not at all.
So
Not at all. It's funny how timing works sometimes.
Yeah.
Just wait till May.
Yeah.
Any other questions or anything? I think this is.
Nope.
We're at where we're at.
I'm going to say, in addition to that, we have the 2013 Ford Explorer, the old K9 vehicle that we tried to repurpose a year ago. It's gotten to that point where time to get rid of it.
So
I'm going to say around 80,000 miles.
But that's 80,000 miles. It doesn't count the time it's idling someplace.
that was
Correct.
the K9 one too, right?
Yes.
Oh, that was pretty roguey anyway.
Yeah, it is because you had the dog. The dog was living in there.
And what was that valued at?
No idea.
Okay, we're just gonna move it forward.
We'll move it.
Okay.
So what do you probably send that off to auction?
Yeah.
Whatever we get, we can get for it.
Correct.
So,
So I make a motion.
yeah, go ahead.
We dispose of the 2013 Ford Explorer and sell the ladder truck to the scrap metal management north for $4,000.
Second.
Second by Darrell.
Mr. Coy,
Yes.
Mr. DeRoche,
Yep.
Mr. Britton,
Yes.
Mr. Gifford,
Yes.
Ms. Bergeron.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. I apologize.
Thank
you. Oh, that's,
Didn't
no
spot it before early.
No problem.
I'll see you. We'll get to spend Wednesday night together too, right?
We'll get to spend Wednesday night together.
So you might as well give the plug for that while we have you here.
So we're going to have another ambulance service informational night this Wednesday at 6 o'clock at the fire station.
Great.
I hope that if anybody has questions, concerns, complaints, any issues at all, any support, excitement, please come and understand why we're having to move to the direction that we're going. And again, if you can't make Wednesday night and you have questions or concerns, my phone's always on. My doors at the station's always open. Come by and talk to me, and I'll be glad to do a one-on-one with anybody that has an issue.
And this is the third informational night
This
that
is the
they've
third.
had. This is the third one. So hopefully we can get a few folks there, because I know everyone says they have questions. Now's the time to get your answers.
It is the time, and I'll be glad to show anything that we're doing. And this is I'll repost it and remind people. It was on there. I posted it, I think, last week because unfortunately I had a schedule conflict and I had to change the date and the time. So,
Right.
but we'll repost it. And then this is the last one I had scheduled because we know we have deliberative coming up, which typically questions start to
Yeah.
go away after deliberative. But even after deliberative, I'll schedule more if there's people out there that want to come to them.
You offering coffee and donuts?
I'll bring coffee and donuts. If that will get the people to come that has questions, I'll bring coffee and donuts. Yeah.
Open bar?
I'm sorry, Tammy.
Is it on the local station?
Well,
We have that posted up.
Timmy, the chief and myself, was it back in the fall, I think, maybe, right? We did one for the TV, and that's still access out there. I guess we should repost it and bring it back out there
Maybe
again, right?
resurrect it or play it again.
Just to, have that go back out.
Yeah, that was pretty informational.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
But the informational night has even more information. So it's,
Chief, take the rest of the night off with pay.
Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow.
I wish I could, but I have to go to the station and do some other stuff.
Oh.
So, thank you anyway. I'll take this weekend off. How's that?
There you
Did I take Saturday and Sunday off?
all right. Thanks, chief. We appreciate it.
See you at the polls.
You think I would have been nicer after the grant we got? All right. So next up, we got elections and deliberative session. So obviously, we have the election tomorrow from 7 to 8, as town moderator Bob Hobb mentioned earlier. So yes, we can figure out the schedule. We're going to be there. I took the day off, so I plan on pretty much being there all day. So I can be there at 6:30 to get it started. I don't know
can
what
be
everyone else's plans are for
Here
the
at
day.
6:30, but I only can stay until 2:30 or 3 o'clock.
And that's fine. And even if you had to say leave earlier than that, that's fine too. And you wanted to come back later, however your schedule works.
I'm barely awake at this hour.
We'll get you some toothpicks for your eyelids.
Yeah, there you go.
And what were
I
you
can be
thinking,
there
Jim?
from 1. I'll probably plan to be there at 1, and then I'll stay the whole time.
Yeah, 'cause you're
after that.
usually the afternoon.
Yep.
I'm cleared for the day.
Okay. I think we got that pretty much figured out. And deliberative is going to be Saturday, February 3rd. Is that the correct date?
Yes.
And what time we start that? Is it 9 o'clock we start that? So it'll be 9 o'clock. And we're going to do it.
It's scheduled here right now, yes.
Okay. So right now it is scheduled for upstairs at the town hall in the great room. And
Are we
I would
looking
admit-
to?
there was
It
a,
snows, it's gonna be the 10th, right?
right, it would be the week after. We were trying to almost debate whether to maybe possibly move it over to Pollard, depending on how many folks we figure could possibly be coming. So that would be the only change.
Yeah.
The time and everything would be the same. But looking at how it was last year, I think we had plenty of room here
Yeah,
last
everybody
year.
fit in here comfortably.
But we'll keep everybody up to date on that, and we'll make sure that all gets posted. Any questions or anything like that?
I just had a question. Are we gonna have where I'm gonna read certain warrant articles, we're all gonna take turns?
Right, we'll go over that. We'll go over that Monday. Next week? Who will have what we'll present?
Next week?
Monday?
Next Monday?
Yeah, well, deliberative's a week from Saturday. It's not this week.
Okay.
So at our next meeting, we'll have one more meeting before deliberative?
Okay, so a week from tonight.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, because I'm not back until Melissa's in here next week, but I will be here for deliberative.
All
I
righty.
mean, I will be back home.
So Tammy's going to read them all.
Tammy, yep, exactly. You have them all, Tammy.
You win by default.
The rest of us
I'm
can
just
stay
kidding,
home.
Sorry, Tammy, we can't hear you. Yeah, it's okay.
I just had a question
Yeah.
on, I know Beth sent out the voter's guide and is that ready to go or be posted, or are we still waiting for feedback on that?
It's close.
It's close?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it should be out this week.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Next up, we need to approve some non-public minutes.
I'll just take one.
Make a motion to approve the non-public meeting minutes for December 27th, 2023, and to keep them sealed.
Second?
Second by Darrell.
Mr. Coy?
Yes.
Mr. DeRoche?
Yep.
Mr. Britton?
Hi.
And Mr. Gifford?
Yes.
All right, next we need to approve the consent agenda. The items we had was the accounts payable manifest for the week of January 18th and 25th, 2024, and the BOS draft minutes of January 8th, 2024.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda for January 22nd.
Second?
Second by Darrell.
Mr. Coy?
Yes.
Mr. DeRoche?
Yes.
Mr. Britton?
Yes.
Mr. Gifford?
Yes.
Ms. Bergeron?
Yes.
And Greg, we come to your favorite part of the night.
My favorite part of the night. I'm working with DRA quite extensively today on the warrant and the like. So putting the finishing touches on that. There's really no changes to it at this point. Also putting together the budget documents for the budget committee to sign and formally present to the board. We did get the trustee of trust funds forwarded the final reports late this afternoon, so I did get those. I haven't had a chance to look at them, but we'll double check those with the numbers. Just been busy with that and town report preparation, closing books and records and the like. We got formal notification from the state. The biggest phase of the drinking water project is officially closed from the state standpoint. So the $5.6 million plus through the Drinking Water Groundwater Trust Fund has now been closed. So it is another milestone, towards the finishing of the project. Have a water meeting tomorrow. We haven't met since, I believe, before the holidays. So we'll be sitting down again, figuring out what's left with PFAS and the rest of the grant. We have had some interim water testing, if you will, in between up at the tank. So the new chlorine system that's been injecting into it for the helping with the disinfectant byproducts is starting to work, and the levels are coming down. So it's as expected. We've been doing some flushing and the like, but it's all pointing in the right direction. And I know Twin Ridge is up and running at this point and drawing water, so that should help significantly as well. So
That's all you got?
that's all I got. Mr. DeRoche.
I know we had a couple meetings where a gentleman came in about traffic on North Ave. Have we done anything, or is any possible solutions or anything?
I have not. I know I had reached out to the police chief. I have not been able to cross paths with him, but will reach out tomorrow I was supposed to have a meeting with him tomorrow.
There is a new radar sign. The portable radar sign has been placed on his property.
Oh, okay.
I saw that the other day going up North
And I know
Avenue.
someone did mention they did see a cruiser there too. One
I actually saw a cruiser sitting another 100 yards down on the opposite side.
Oh, good.
So they've been addressing it.
Excellent. I know when Old Home Day was in, we talked about budget numbers with them, and they were asking for like 60,000, and we agreed on 40. I know you said you were going to reach out to Republic and maybe Beatty, and I don't know if there's been any movement on maybe them supporting our Old Home Day.
I have reached out a couple times. I haven't been able to get anywhere. I will follow back up though.
All right. And one more thing. Never mind.
Well, staying on the Old Home Day, I know that the committee has moved the venue from the back of the property here. They were going to do it on the town green over to the Fish and Game for the dance and meal. So
You got the Friday night.
right, that will substantially bring down their cost and help them do a few more endeavors for their weekend of fun.
Good decision.
Yeah, I think so too. I agree.
You know, then you don't have to like worry about what's going to be the parking, and it's at a location where everything's at, it's going to cut back on costs.
Right. There was some aesthetics that would be really nice to have it right here on the town green, and I think that's what drove that project. But it just overall it worked out best to be just in a sound environment.
Right.
I guess on water, and I know we've talked about this in the past, but maybe in an upcoming meeting, we could get like a number of subscribers to the system, like what the revenues are looking like as they come in, just to get an idea on what our, how many people we have on the system.
Well, it'd probably be a good idea too, right after we get past deliberative and everything, just to see if we get someone to come in and talk to us about it, how everything's going.
Yeah.
Like give us the state of the state.
Absolutely.
All right. So Selectmen's reports. Tammy, you have anything for us besides what kind of suntan lotion you're using?
Currently, no suntan lotion, it's not a sunny day. I did meet conservation before I left, and there's been an issue, and I think you're all aware of it. Somebody has made a man-made bike trail in the town forest, and they used, come to find out, they believe that they used shovels in it. They also believe it's been like, they're thinking it's like one person that has been doing this. So they discussed maybe putting some type of fencing around that section for now. So that was one of the discussions, and then the other discussion was obviously the pine wetlands, and how we just have to put it back on the back burner, and we'll revisit it this spring. And maybe make a few changes to that. So that was probably about it. And they did have the cameras set up, so they're able to see what's going on in the town forest. So hopefully they can make some headway with that.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
John?
Let's see, we had the Historical Society ran a Christmas ornament and display swap. So they had a great turnout for it. And basically, people would bring over whatever they no longer utilized or wanted, and other people would come in, and it went over really well. And I would just love seeing the Historic Society being used, and the creative ideas they're coming up with to get people to walk through the door and start to look around and peek and poke.
I feel like it's come a long way over there. I drive by, they're dressing their windows, changing things up. I actually like to stop in there when I get back and pay a visit. I haven't been in there in a while. I think whoever's running it over there, they're doing a great job.
I agree.
It's coming along well under new guidance. So my other one was the old home day committee, which we have a meeting coming up. We still haven't had our meeting due to some issues with health and so forth. But that being said, Old Home Day needs some help, some volunteers. We've had 3 committee members have to leave for reasons that, just other ventures in their life. That's a big hit when you have 9 people running a show and 3 of them are off doing other ventures now. So if there's anybody in the town that has some time to give, you can reach out. There's an email on the town website to reach out, and I'm sure you'll fit in comfortably. And if you're just there for the day for Old Home Day, we'll need hands on deck as well. So
Well, that's the big thing, even just that one day itself.
right.
Because there's different games, there's activities.
But there is some planning and some structural aspects that, an extra set of hands here and there wouldn't hurt, or some other ideas and values. So
No, it helps make that event. It's a big event.
absolutely, it's town-wide. It should be town-driven, So that's what I've got going right now.
All right, perfect. Daryl?
Nothing.
Jay?
Attended the budget public hearing, somewhat uneventful. And then I went to the presidential primary training that the state had at Atkinson Community Center. It was very informative. Unfortunately, we'll be dealing with a lot of write-ins, so bring your coffee.
It's a long day.
Yeah, that will be. Myself, all I really had last week, I just had a planning board meeting. Nothing real significant there this week. That was all I have. We just have some events that we have coming up. We've already mentioned a couple of them tonight earlier, but we'll mention them again. The presidential primary is tomorrow with the Fish and Game, January 23rd, and that will go from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. And that's at the Fish and Game, which is at 18 Mayray Ave. We mentioned also the ambulance service session for information. That'll be January 24th, which is Wednesday at 6 o'clock, and that will be held at the fire station. Recreation Department has 2 upcoming events. They have roller skating on January 26th. I guess that's a day there's no school. That's at Remix in Manchester. You need to register online with the rec department. There's also a casino trip to Encore on February 21st, and you must register online or with the rec department with Jen. And also another reminder, deliberative session, February 3rd at 9 a.m. at Town Hall upstairs in the Great Hall. Did anybody have anything else they wanted to bring up? Do we need a non-public tonight? Good answer.
Nope, I'd just like to let the town know that Dan Garlington and his crew did an awesome job at this last storm.
They did.
I was driving around in some neighboring towns, and although the demographics are different, our roads far exceeded the neighboring towns, so,
Which is usually the case.
which is usually the case.
And just one thing for our schedule, for our BOS schedule going forward, we had one change. Obviously, we're going to meet January 29th, then February 5th. And the one we had scheduled for after that was for February 19th, but that turns out that's President's Day. So we won't be meeting that night. Instead, we'll move that to February 26th, the week after. And with that, we will close the meeting at 7:34. Thank you. Have a good night, everyone. Make sure you get out and vote tomorrow.